and let's get it. This is the Back Row Bengals show, all brought to you by fansided.com. I am your host, Josh Miller. You can come and read about all of my blogs over on stripehype.com, also found on fansided.com. Today, we are previewing the much anticipated matchup of Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And who else could I have brought on other than the Iceman himself, Jeff Trenopole, at Strawberry Ice. Cincinnati
Exactly.
Sports Strawberry Ice. My
Cincinnati
bad.
Sports
I screwed
Strawberry.
that up.
Exactly.
Cincinnati Sports with Strawberry Ice at Jeff A. Trenopole on Twitter. Thank you, Jeff, so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Welcome back to the show.
No problem, Josh. I appreciate it. I am fired up for this Sunday. I'm still surprised that it's not. This game has not been flexed. You have the two best quarterbacks from last year's draft, the 2020 draft, going head to head for the very first time, and they didn't flex this game. I'm shocked. I really thought this game would be at least a 4:00 game, maybe a Sunday night game, and they didn't do it. It's still 1:00 on Sunday.
Absolute travesty. But I will say this, and I was talking to my dad about it being flexed versus not flexed. And we both agreed, obviously, the game should be flexed. However, the Chargers, it's going to basically be a 10 a.m. kick for them.
Right.
They're coming all the way across the country, and I believe the week before, who did the Chargers play this week? They had to come across the like in the middle of the country or to the east side, and then fly back, and then now they're flying back again to Cincinnati. So
Yeah, I can't remember who they played. I can't remember who the heck they lost too.
Yeah, they're right. They lost.
I can't remember who the heck they played though.
Oh. Right, exactly. So I think even though how badly we want the game to be flexed out to a night game, trust me, I do as well. It's going to play in the Bengals' favor too, because it's definitely going to be a 10 a.m. kick for the Chargers. They're coming off of a loss. This is a team that their defense has not been great, but they have a really, really good defensive line, and that's something that the Bengals have struggled with.
Yeah, they have a guy named Joey Bosa.
Exactly. How do you feel about this Bengals offense versus the Chargers defense?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Their run defense is not very good at all. And the way that the Bengals have been running the ball the last two games, I feel very good about it, to be honest. I think it's going to I think this about every game this year, and I've been right about most of them. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to come down to a 1 or 2 score game again. I really do. But I think if the Bengals offensive line can be as consistent as they have been the last 2 weeks, and Joe Mixon can run the ball like he did last week and the week before that, I think it's going to go in the win column for the Bengals. That is for sure.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say the Chargers are dead last in defending the run, so that's obviously going to help out in our favor. But again, I always go back to the Bengals offensive line struggles with really good defensive lines, and that's what happened against the Jets. That's what happened against the Browns. And we were able to correct that against the Raiders and the Steelers, who both have a really good defensive line.
Right.
And especially the Steelers with TJ Watt, probably the best defensive lineman in all of football right now, arguably. But again, the Chargers defense has given up a significant number of points. The run, you said it, on the ground, they're not very good. So I think if we can get Joe Mixon going like we did this week, we'll be just fine. And I think this offense will do very well. So let's go with that. So do you see it being more of a run game this time around? Do you see it being more of a pass game, or are you kind of looking at somewhere balanced?
I think it depends. It always depends on what the defense gives them. That's what's great about the Bengals offense is whatever the defense is trying to stop that day, the Bengals have multiple weapons in other areas to use. I do think they're going to try to run the ball because, like we just talked about the defense. I think another reason is to keep Joey Bosa on a run, the run stop instead of going after the quarterback. That's gonna be an interesting thing is what they try to do with Joey Bosa. They try to move him on the inside to go against Hakeem Adeniji or Quentin Spain or something like that. They move him around, or they keep him on the right side with against Riley Reef, which that's another thing we have to worry about too. Riley Reef still hasn't practiced. It sounds to me like he's going to play because I know James Rapine asked Zach, what's the backup plan if Riley Reef doesn't play? And he's saying, it'll probably be Prince. It didn't sound like they were really concerned about it. So I am concerned about Riley Reef playing because he will be set up against Bosa if they keep Bosa on the right side, which most of the time they do. So I think that's going to be a key to it is how good Riley Reef's health is. And I said, running the ball and getting Joey Bosa on his heels so he doesn't can't pin his ears back and go after Joe Burrow, just like they did against the Squealers last week. Because, like you just said, Watt didn't do anything. They ran away from Watt. He got so frustrated. The only thing he did was try to give COVID to Joe Burrow when he's over blocking him. So I really do think it's the same kind of game plan as the last 2 weeks. Run the ball, and then take your deep shots, which is what the Bengals did at the beginning of this season, and it worked a lot. So that's where like I said, unless they for some reason can't run the ball, then they'll start going across the middle with Tyler Boyd and going deep to Chase and to T. Higgins.
Yeah, and you brought up an excellent point. It's something I do want to bring up. So I was on a podcast earlier, right before I came on here, called Stacking the Box, brought to you by fansided.com. Shameless plug. Shout out, Jeff. But that being said, they asked me a question. They said if the Bengals were to not make the playoffs this year, what would be probably the biggest problem that they had? And I would say it would have to be health in the offensive line. That's going to be huge. You brought up Riley Reef. He's been day-to-day, hasn't been practicing, but it looks like he's going to play. If this offensive line starts to get hurt, do you think that's going to lead into losses? And do you think the health in the offensive line is the most important position to keep healthy? Like, do you think the offensive line is the most important position to keep healthy right now in the Bengals?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
besides
it's
quarterback,
like that. Yeah, besides quarterback. I mean, it's been like that all year. I mean, that's been the story of this entire season is not only the health, which knock on wood, the Bengals have had great health, compared to every other team in the AFC North.
Right.
But it's not only health, but it's the continuity and the way the offensive line's played. And I think since the addition of Akeem Adeniji, this offensive line has gotten consistent. Now, that being said, looks like we finally got our starting five, and we're getting consistent. Right. And Riley Reef has an ankle injury. Like I said, yes, it is huge and it's huge for any NFL team. It's not. This isn't just for the Bengals. I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl. Their offensive line was horrible by the time they got to the Super Bowl. So yes, health on the offensive line is key. And yes, if we start losing guys, our backups are good, but they're young. I mean, you got a rookie in Jackson Carmen. You got a rookie in Hill from Georgia. You got Fred Johnson, who's been hit or miss. I mean, the backups are okay. I think we could do okay if guys miss a game here or there. But if we have like a season-ending injury from somebody like Riley Reef or Jonah Williams or somebody like that, yes, we will be in big-time trouble.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. If the Bengals were to lose on Sunday, and it's the offensive side of the ball's fault, what do you think happened? Like, what do you think?
If they lose on Sunday, if they were to lose on Sunday, yes, it was the offensive line, I think, and it's mostly because you could not stop Joey Bosa and you couldn't run the ball. And those are two key things to me. You have to be able to stop Joey Bosa and you have to run the ball. If you can't do those, it's going to be I still think they have potential to win it because of the passing game and Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Chase and all that. But it will be a lot more difficult because the Chargers have Sherbert. And yes, I call him Sherbert.
Sherbert.
Yes. And he is the second best quarterback in that draft class. I'm just saying second best. But he is good. And they do have offensive weapons where they can get out in front of us. And if we have a hard time, like I said, running the ball and we have a hard time stopping Bosa, then yes, those are the two keys. Bosa is a game wrecker. I mean, but so's Watt. And last week they stopped him. I think we'll be able to stop Bosa this week.
Right, exactly. So a lot of it, I mean, it's almost like we're facing a very similar defense. Right. Steelers. It's like they got one big playmaker. And everybody around them is either hit or miss. And that's really what it looks like. This team is dead last in the run game. If the Bengals were to make the playoffs, and the Bengals are this team that we think they are, they'll run all over the Chargers, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll run all over them.
The thing is, you have to look at it this way. The Bengals are in great position to make the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, we've already curb stomped the Squealers. We already curb stomped the Ratbirds. We got to do it one more time against the Ratbirds and Cleveland, and this division is over. It's ours, and we will have it, and most likely at least one home game. At least I think if you're a Division 1, you get at least one home game. Now, hopefully they'll be able to catch Is it Tennessee? No, it's not Tennessee. Whoever is the number 1 seed right now. I think it is Tennessee. Who will they catch them?
It's either Tennessee or the Patriots because
Oh, it's
I think
Patriots. No,
Titans just lost. Yeah,
it's Patriots. Yes,
yeah, it's bad.
hope be able to catch them and get the number 1 overall seed, and then everything runs through Cincinnati. But if you win the division, which I think the Bengals are in great shape to do that, because like I said, they are the healthiest team in this division. Knock on wood, rather the Reef plays, but yes, I do think we are going to get a divisional playoff, and I will be all for that because you and me will be down there cheering our asses off and having a great time.
Absolutely. A Crown Apple Kid. A Crown Apple Kid wants to talk about Luke staying home. We will get to that towards the end of the show.
Very excited about that.
All Bengals right now, but we will talk about that. I promise. But that being said, yeah, Jeff, you brought up a great point when it comes to the division race, and then we'll get back to the game real quick. I just want to talk about it. The Bengals are the only ones in the AFC North that really control their own destiny. They went out, they beat the Ravens coming home. Then you got to beat Cleveland, a revenge game, who is just beat to absolute hell right now. Are the Browns, and it looks like they're trending backwards, not forwards, and it looks like this Bengals team is steamrolling ahead. So that being said, the Bengals, I agree with you. They're in the perfect spot to take the AFC North. And you look at the Ravens, I'm really not impressed. I mean, Lamar Jackson is their entire offense, and when he suffers, he is their team. And when he suffers, they look awful, awful, man. They look terrible. So, and it looks like more and more load is being put on Lamar,
Lamar,
and Lamar, and Lamar Jackson. I mean, you can tell like he's not healthy in terms of illness. Like it looks like he's sick out there. It looks like
he's probably wore out because this whole
he's probably wore out.
Team, everything is on his shoulders.
Right.
Everything to do with winning for that team winning has to do with Lamar Jackson. And we talked about this on my show. You, me, did Josh. If Lamar Jackson throws the ball to the Bengals 4 times, we're most likely scoring 4 times.
4 times. 4 times.
At least Evan Money Mick is going to kick a field goal. We're getting something out of that.
Right,
so, I mean, the mistakes that Lamar made against the Browns, he can't do that against the Bengals. We will turn that into points.
Right, exactly. And the Ravens, a lot of their interceptions were on the Cleveland side of the 50. And Justin Tucker, I mean, just being on the other side of the 50 means you get 3 points. The Ravens threw away. I mean, if you do 3 times 4, you see math here, but that's 12 points that he just threw away.
Right.
So if he does that against the Bengals, they will lose again against the Bengals, like they did. I digress. Let's go back to the Chargers Bengals game this weekend. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. And this is probably where the game's going to be decided. It's going to be the Bengals defense versus the Charger offense. Now, Justin Herbert, golden arm, as I like to call him, he's got a hell of an arm. He's very accurate, and he can throw the deep ball. However, I don't think he is as smart as Joe Burrow is. I don't think he is much of a game manager as Joe Burrow is. And then on top of that, I don't think the Chargers roster matches up to the Bengals. I don't think it does. Talent-wise, it doesn't.
No.
Austin Eckler is a great back, and I got to say it's going to be a great showdown between the defense versus the offense. But I think honestly this defense can not only win the game, they can dominate against the Chargers. What is your thoughts on our defense versus their offense?
Well, our defense has been an absolute godsend for this team. I mean, that was one thing we were going into the season. I was worried about the offensive line, and I was worried about the defense. And I said, offensive line has got to be average. The defense, I thought they had a chance to be like the 05 team. The 05 defense wasn't a great defense, but it was very opportunistic. This defense, I think, is better than the 05. Trent Henderson has been the best between either him or Chidobe Awuzie, the best free agent signing the Bengals have had in their history. I mean, he's had, I think it's 8 consecutive games with a sack or something like that. It's a Bengals record. It is ridiculous how good he has performed for us.
Incredible.
The defense, the games where the Bengals have lost, the defense has not performed to the way it has 90% of the season, like the Jets game, the Browns game. They just didn't show up for some reason.
Right.
So hopefully those games it was just a bump in the road, and those games are behind us, which it looks like it. We got the bye week, we got reset when we're rolling again. And the defense is back to where it was. They're picking the ball off, they're getting pressure on the quarterback, and they're not letting the other teams run the ball. So to me, if they keep doing that, and in this game, that bodes well for the Bengals to win this game. It's going to come down to as every game, you got to stop the run and you got to get pressure on the quarterback. And if they're able to do that, like they've done the last 2 weeks, I think this goes in the win column for the Bengals.
Yeah, absolutely. And the I believe that that bye could not have come at a better
Oh, it's
time. The defense
perfect.
was
It
able
was
to
absolutely
reset
perfect.
and
Yeah.
refresh, and they look back to form. They look back to form. I talked about it a little bit before the year started. I know you did. If this defense could be middle of the pack, this Bengals team could be really good. But they started playing at a top 10 level talent. And then, towards the end against freaking Mike White and freaking the Browns, they looked terrible. And
Right.
then the bye week, refresh, back to scratch. And then just like that, they look like they're back in form, ready to roll. And I gotta say, I could not be happier for Eli Apple. I could not be
Absolutely.
happier. That dude
Absolutely.
has gotten so much criticism, and
Mhm.
I've given a fair share of
Well,
it.
it's been deserved too. I mean, there's been games where
It's
he
been
he
deserved.
just has not played very well, but
Correct.
the majority of the games he's actually played pretty good. Now,
It's not bad.
a couple guys at work today were like, "Well, you think he's a number one cornerback?" No, I don't think he was never brought here to be a number one cornerback. He got
Correct.
thrown into it because Trey Waynes cannot stay healthy, can't get on the field.
Mhm.
But for a backup who's been thrown into starting, I think he's had a hell of a year.
He's at
And
a yep.
people are like, "Well, would you resign him?" I would resign him to be a backup,
Mhm.
not to be our starting cornerback. I'm very, very happy for him. Very happy for the way it has worked out for him this year.
Yeah, absolutely, and it feels like his success recently is a basically an anecdotal piece of evidence of the empirical evidence that this team is really together. They have a unity because it felt like when Eli Apple was starting to get that criticism and he was starting to the defense did not point fingers. It felt like that the Bengals were at the team was getting behind him. And the way that Eli Apple has been playing, and you and I talked about on your show, it looks like Eli Apple spent more time in the film room, more time on the practice field, and it just looks like it's paying off. And it looks like the team rallied around Eli rather than pointing fingers at it. And that just makes my heart like soar. And then the Eli Apple and he's making plays. And I could not be happy for the guy.
Well,
And
I'll
I
put it this
agree
way.
with you.
With
Hold on real quick. And now
Go
I
ahead,
just
go ahead.
want to say I agree with you. He's not here to be a first string
No.
corner. He's not. He's a second string guy.
Mhm,
But that being said, he got thrusted into that spot
mhm.
and now he's playing up to par. So good for him and great for him. And I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Well, I'll put it this way: the whole defense in general has bought in, and that is a huge key to the success that this team has had. Because last year, the year before that, we had guys that didn't want to do what Lou Anarumo had schemed up for them, didn't
Mhm.
want to be here, didn't want to listen to him. They got those guys out of here. They're gone.
Right.
They got guys in here who want to be here, who believe in the system and believe in Lou and are doing what Lou is asking them to do. And Lou is putting them in the best position to make plays.
Mhm.
And that has a huge difference from the last 2 years. We had guys who, let's be honest, Carlos Dunlap didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be here.
Mhm.
He said it over and over. He was done. He was turning in.
Yep.
He went from a great Bengal to a cancer on the team. They
Yep.
got him out of here.
Right.
If you notice, once they got him out of here, wasn't too long after that, Von Bell lit up Juju Smith. And this team, that hit changed this team. That
Mhm.
hit changed this defense. That hit changed everything, I think, on
Mhm.
this team. Once that happened, once they beat the Squealers, everything changed.
Mhm.
The mindset of the Bengals, the way they went about going their business, go back doing their business, they are more businesslike than they ever have been before. So
Yep.
I am very excited, very happy for Lou Anarumo, and I call him Anarumo now. I used to call him Armadillo. I call him Anarumo,
In a
and
rumor.
I think the defense is pleasantly, surprisingly, way better than I thought they'd be.
Absolutely. I think all of Cincinnati can say that. It's just it's just been playing just so much better than what we thought they were going to. And then on top of that, the guys that have been playing consistent at the start of the year are still playing consistent. Chidobe Awuzie is still playing great. Russ Blackthorne, again, big fan of the show, sent us a podcast and they talk about Awuzie, they talk about Eli Apple becoming, coming back to form it. And he did struggle at the beginning of the year, but the great thing is that we saw him struggle and we saw him get better
Mm-hmm.
and better
Mm-hmm.
and better. And that's exactly what we have seen with the offensive line. We've seen them get better and progress. And that's what we want to see with this coaching staff. That was going to be the true factor is can this team progress through the year if Zach Taylor can keep his job? Now, Zach Taylor has went from the hot seat to he's going to be a coach of the year candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, if the Bengals win the AFC North, I don't see why Zach Taylor wouldn't get that nod.
No, absolutely not. There's no reason he shouldn't get
I
that
agree with this,
nod.
Russ. Yeah.
Well, Bell,
Yes,
yeah,
I agree with the bell
changed the
hit.
hit.
Yes,
Yes, exactly. That hit changed everything to me.
everything.
And but you
I
get back
agree.
to Zach Taylor. Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
he and Zach is even like you're saying before that the defense has gotten better and improved. Zach Taylor has gotten better. I think he's
Better and
gotten
better.
better because people were complaining about his play calling and different stuff
Mhm.
like that. I think he's gotten better at that because he's
I
even
agree.
said this one thing I love about Zach Taylor. He was saying in his press conferences, okay, let's put it this way. Marvin Lewis would always say, we got to get better. We got to coach better. And he would say it over and over and over again. And it would never seem like it would ever happen.
Mhm.
Zach has even admitted when he's made mistakes and admitted, I have to do this better. And he's gotten better at his
Mhm.
play calling. He's gotten better at different aspects of his coaching staff and things like that. All of them, every aspect of the Bengals since the beginning of the season to now, they keep getting gradually better and better and better.
Mhm.
Hopefully the crescendo will be the Super Bowl. That would be awesome.
Exactly. That would be absolutely phenomenal if they can get there. And I agree with you. I say Zach Taylor has gotten better and better. And I think one of the things that a lot of the players really love about Zach is you nailed it on the head, is that he's honest with himself. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
players like that. I think the
Right.
players realize that, yeah, he is human. He's going to make mistakes. He doesn't hold himself above us. He's just going to show us a path that will put us in the best possible, place for success. And I think Zach Taylor works with the guys a lot. He works with the team instead of just
Yes.
being the coach. And I think that's helped this team. He's been able to pick out his guys. I think that's helped this defense. I think this has helped this entire team. All right. So anyway, a little bit back to the defense, and we'll get back to it. I want to talk about the Chargers on offense. They got Austin Eckler. They got Justin Herbert. They got a solid offense. It's been propelling them in many games, especially down the stretch. How are the Bengals going to stop Justin Herbert? What would you drop if you were Lou Anarumo? What are you doing?
Well, to me, it's just like anything else. You have to get pressure on him.
Mhm.
They have to figure out to do stunts. You get pressure on any quarterback. I always say this. This is like a phrase I always say. What does pressure do? It breaks pipes. You get
Mhm.
pressure on them, any quarterback is going to have a hard time scoring, doing anything with the ball. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson. We just talked about him with his 4 interceptions. One thing the Browns
Mhm.
did get, they got pressure on him. They didn't
A lot
always
of
put him
pressure.
on the ground, but if the Bengals can get pressure on him, Herbert is not that mobile of a quarterback. You
Mhm.
get pressure on him, he's going to throw the ball to you. He's not going to be able to take the deep shots as he has been. So I think that's a key is getting pressure on him. And our quarterbacks, let's give credit to him. Like we just talked about
Mhm.
Eli Apple.
Yeah.
Chidobe Awuzie has been awesome. He's
Mhm.
been a very, I think he's definitely a number
And a
one quarterback.
godsend.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah,
he's a
right,
number one
absolutely.
quarterback. So they have to be up on their game. And one guy we have not talked about in a little while, and we absolutely stole him on the defense is BJ Hill. It is
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
He has been unbelievable for. Now, I'm not saying he's gonna be an all pro, Pro Bowl, or anything like
Right,
that.
right. But for
But
what we got him for,
yes, we got
yes.
him for Billy Price, who I don't even
Billy
think he's playing
Pratt.
for the Giants. I mean, BJ Hill is damn near playing starter minutes, and
Mhm.
he's getting pressure on the quarterback, and he's stopping
Big
the run.
prem. Big
Yeah,
pressure. Big pressure. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. We got to get pressure on Justin Herbert. I think also what we got to do, we got to take away the run game altogether. We have to force Justin Herbert to throw 30, 35, 40 times this game. I think if he doesn't have that safety valve to Austin Eckler, his arm's going to start to get tired. He's going to start to get frustrated. He can't get yards on the ground. Then he's going to start throwing bad passes. If we can get him to throw some interceptions, then this team has got to do something that they didn't do last week, or they did a little bit last week. They got to capitalize on those turnovers. You cannot have a pick get taken back to the 5 and only get a field goal out of it. That has got to be a touchdown.
right.
You have got to capitalize on that field position. That is one thing that I still think this Bengals team needs to get better at is when they are inside of like the 20 or the 10 because their defense made a great play or they have great field position, they have got to capitalize.
Yeah, I want to roll back to what you said about Herbert or
Mhm.
Sherbert throwing the ball deep and making drop back and throw it 30, 40 times. This Well, he did that last year. He
Mhm,
dropped back and threw it a ton of times. That's why he got his stat numbers were so big.
mhm.
This year, they've kind of put a governor on him, I think, with this offense where they
Yeah.
don't want to do that. And that goes to your point, where if
Mhm.
we can stop the run and we force them to do that, and another way to do that is get a lead, get out in front of them, make them
Yep.
chase us.
Yep.
But if we do what we make them do, what they don't want to do is drop back and throw it 30, 40 times, that's a good thing for the Bengals. And if that happens, the H boys, pin your ears back and go get them.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and you nailed it on the head too. Starting out fast, we've got to keep scoring. We've only scored twice on on our opening drives this year, and that was I forget I believe one of them was against the Packers, and the other one was against the Steelers. And
Yes.
getting out in front is so important, especially for this game at least.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals have got to get out in front. Let the Chargers chase us. And then I think if we can do that, we can absolutely win this game. Play consistent, play our style of football. Don't go out of our realm of comfort zone. Let's do with what's working. Let's stay on the ground. Let's shorten the game. I think another thing that the Bengals can do, which they did a really good job
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
against Pittsburgh, is keeping that offense off of the field.
Right.
Keep them off the field. Keep that defense out there. That's by running the ball. That's by dominating at the point of attack, and that's by doing short passes smart. So I think if the Bengals can win that possession, the time of possession would be incredible. And not only did they do that great against the Steelers, they put on a clinic of time possession against the Raiders. That was
Mm-hmm.
a clinic of time
Mm-hmm.
possession, and that is one of the reasons why the Bengals absolutely blew the Raiders out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, one way the best, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. You know, that
Mhm.
quarterback sitting on the sideline with a baseball hat on, he can't do anything. Now, I
Exactly.
want to put a question to you. Do
Of
you
course.
think that the Chargers offense is the best offense that the Bengals have taken on this year? My opinion is either between them or the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers struggled against us as well. But as far as the passing game goes, I think this might be the best one that we've faced.
That's a great question. I would say not in terms of personnel, but in terms of like eye test and actual statistics.
Hmm.
I would say yeah, it's probably 1A and 1B between the Packers. The Chargers are probably 1B, I would say. But that being said, I don't think that this offense is like world beaters. I think this offense can be stopped. I think there's a blueprint behind it. But I
Right.
do agree with you. This is going to be a really good test, and I'm excited for it. And it's been a while since I've been excited. You know, it's this year a lot more than previous years that I've been excited for a game. And it's like, okay, this is just going to be a test of where this Bengals team is, and I'm ready for the test. Like I'm ready to see this Bengals team go. And a lot of years past, it's been like, shit, we got to play this team or that team. Excuse
Right.
my language, but
No,
yeah,
absolutely. And Zach Taylor's even came out at his press conference, and I think this is big. Zach Taylor came out and said that he's even saying this is a big game. When's
hmm
the last time you? I mean, and to me, that's refreshing to
yep,
hear that
right,
honesty about that. But Zach Taylor is usually it's just another game. Divisional game. Well, it's not. Well,
mhm,
it is not divisional, but a conference game. It is what it is. But he actually came out and said this is a big game, and he wants the fans to come out, be loud, get there early, and get in these Chargers' heads. And
mhm,
for Zach to admit that it is a big game is huge to me. And I
yep,
agree with it. It is a big game. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere. I mean, because let's be honest, both these teams could be in the playoffs. We could meet the Chargers in the
agreed.
playoffs. You never know.
Yeah,
So, I
right,
mean, this could be
exactly,
a preview of a first or second round playoff matchup.
right.
So it's it's big as far as that goes. And when the coach admits it's big, I'm not sure. That's just different. I've never heard a coach admit that before. Have you?
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on the coach. I think a lot of times it depends on the coach, and it depends on what their philosophy is on game to game. It did definitely Marvin Lewis. And it's one of the things that really pissed me off about Marvin is he always said this is just another game. It's like against the Steelers, against the Ravens, against the Browns. No, it is not another game. This
Right.
is a more important game. This the
Right.
right
Well, that
exactly.
was not to cut you off, but that was
Yeah,
the problem I think with Marvin Lewis in big games, in
yeah,
playoff games. He
right.
would never put an emphasis on we have to win this or bring your best. It's another game, guys.
Another game.
No big deal. And the other teams are like, nah, screw you guys. We're gonna kick your ass. And Marvin's like, it's okay. It's just another game. No.
No,
Zach
it's not.
Taylor's like, this is a big game. We
This
need
is
to
a big
come out
game.
guns blazing and kick their ass.
Yes, absolutely. And in the thick of a race, you're one behind Baltimore. I mean, if you lose again and Baltimore gains a 2 game lead on you, it's not great. But
No,
again, you can get them back in the division. You can do that. But anyway, but I digress. I want to go back to a point that you said that the Zach Taylor is kind of saying we need the fans out there. I want to say
mhm,
something about last week, and I'm someone that has been a Bengals fan attendance hater for a long time because I mean we've seen it. We've seen
right,
terrible attendance at the
right,
Bengals. It's like this is a reason why they don't spend money. This is a like this is like yeah we can blame the front office, but at the end of the day, like we're not showing up.
right,
I got to say, last week was probably the most Bengals fans to Steelers fans I've ever seen
right.
at a Bengals Steelers game in Paul Brown Stadium. I
Well,
gotta
that's a
say,
good point. I mean, there were
we
there were
shrunk
more
that crowd.
there were more Browns fans, I think, when the Browns played than Steelers fans this
Mhm.
last week. I was shocked. I mean, I was pleasantly
Shocked.
shocked.
Right,
I mean,
right. It
because
was
I even
incredible.
noticed it like tailgating. Like we got there early. I go tailgate at the Jackpot Joey tailgate here in Longworth Hall, and the week before with the Browns, there were Browns fans everywhere. I'm like, oh my
Everywhere.
goodness, and there are Browns fans everywhere in the stadium.
Mhm.
Usually there's Squealers fans everywhere. There wasn't. I'm like,
It was
this is awesome. I kind of like
mhm.
this. Now
Yeah.
that has to happen again this week. I want this stadium full, completely sold out, all orange and black, all
Yes,
Bengals
sir.
fans
Yes,
screaming your
sir.
damn heads off. Get there early, show up, show these Bengals that we are here for them. We are proud of them. We are ecstatic for what's
Mhm.
going on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something I've said about the Bearcats. I know we're not talking about Bearcats here, but enjoy this. And this is what I
Right.
want the fans of Cincinnati to do. Enjoy this. It
Enjoy
doesn't
it.
happen all the time. This is the quote unquote experts never thought we were going to be that good. I mean,
Mhm.
me, I look at things through orange colored sunglasses and I predicted 11-5 when the schedule came out.
Hey, you're right on the money, by the
I'm
way.
getting
Gotta throw
close.
that
Yeah,
out
I
there.
mean, I'm getting close. So people thought I was crazy, which I mean, I kind of thought I did too, but whatever. Show up for these guys. They are
Mhm.
playing their butts off. They're playing the best they've played in what, since 2015? Show up, show out, be loud, and just be there for your team.
Mhm. Right, absolutely. I'm expecting a large crowd. I'm expecting a sellout. I'm expecting for the home crowd advantage to really play out this game. I'm expecting it, honestly.
Absolutely.
So we talked quite a bit about this game. Real quick before we jump to just the division itself and the AFC and the playoff race. Give me your prediction. What do you think this game is going to turn out to
Score wise,
be? Yeah.
I really do. I say this on almost every game. I think it's going to be a touchdown, field goal, score game.
Mhm.
I think it's one or two score game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'll be glad to be wrong. I didn't think last week's going to be a blowout, and it
Right.
was. I'll be glad to be wrong, but I don't. I think these teams are matched up pretty well. They have two great young quarterbacks, and I'm here for it. It's going to be fun to watch, but I do think the Bengals are going to pull it out. And the one thing I don't want to keep harping on this, but the one position that we are better at than them than pretty much every other team except for the Ratbirds is kicker. We get across that 50, he's a freaking weapon. We
I make
can score. Josh, we could score on almost every drive. Like last week, Kevin Hoover, I think, punted the ball twice. Twice. That's it. I mean, he had to kick 350 yarders in the Raiders game.
Mhm.
So when you have that
That's
guy,
correct.
you have that guy.
You
You
have
have
that guy.
we have two of those. That guy. One's the
Mhm.
quarterback. The other one's the kicker.
Mhm. That's
Those are
correct.
two huge, and they score points for you. They are
Right.
game changers.
Mhm.
So yes, I think it's gonna be a one. I still think it's gonna be a one or two score game. Could come down to a field goal. We'll see.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this, Jeff. I think that this matchup is so far in the Bengals' favor. I think it is going to be a blowout. I think what happens is that Joe Mixon does the same thing he did against the Steelers again. I think the Bengals shorten the game. We talked about it. The best defense that you can have is a really good offense. I
Mhm.
think that this Bengals team can shorten the game. I think they can run it down the Chargers' throats. The Chargers are dead last in stopping the run. I think Joe Mixon is on fire. I think he's really feeling it. This offensive line has gained quite a bit of confidence. I
Right.
think this is more of a 32-12 Cincinnati um, Cincinnati victory. I think Joe Burrow eventually, like once they start pressing up on Joe Mixon, he'll be able to air that ball out. And T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd are much better than their secondary. It's
Oh,
not even
absolutely.
close.
I'm
It's not
here
even
for
close.
that. That sounds
Right,
good to me.
exactly. And then when the Chargers are on the field, and then if the defense does exactly that, and they make Justin Herbert throw and play from behind, they're not going to have a great game. And this Bengals defense is going to light it up. It is a 10 a.m. kick for the Chargers. Okay, so it's a lot going against LA. I think the matchup is bad, and I think this Bengals team can go out there and whoop some ass. So I think it's going to be 32-12, somewhere in that range. I think the Bengals are going to win by more than double digits.
And if they do that, this will be the first time this year they've won 3 in a row.
Exactly.
So, hey,
Yep.
I'm here for it. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. Either
Right.
way, we both have
Exactly.
them winning. We both have it as a
Eh,
Bengals victory. Either way.
exactly. So let's take a look. So let's take a look at the grand scheme of it all. So the Bengals, they pick up a, let's just say they pick up a win here. Yeah, they go 8-4.
Mhm.
They're looking really really good. The rest of the AFC, we've talked about this before. I talked about it earlier when I was on a stacking the box on fansided.com. Shameless plug. But we talked about, who do you look at in the AFC and you're like, that team scares me, or that team could win the championship. There's not a single team. I would say the Chiefs are looking really good. I would say the Patriots are
Agreed.
surging, but
But
they're
do
going to
either one of those
eventually
teams scare
regress.
you?
No, none of them. I think when
That's
the
where I'm
Chiefs
at.
come here, the Bengals are going to beat them. That's the thing.
I picked that. I had
Mhm,
as a Bengals win, and that's the thing where the Bengals are playing right now. The way they're playing right now, to
mhm.
me, there is no. I'm not saying they can't lose. They can. Of course they
Oh
can
yeah, it's
lose.
the
Of course
NFL.
they can
Yeah.
lose. But there is no team that you're going, oh crap, I really don't want to play them. The way this team is health wise, the way the defense is playing, the way the offense is clicking, the way the offensive line is playing right now,
Mhm.
I'm not scared of anybody. I'll take
Right.
them all on. I think
Right.
we have a chance to beat everybody. I
Mhm,
will we? I have no idea. I mean, hopefully we'll go 5-1 at the end of the season, then we'll get the number one overall seed. That'd be great, which we have a
mhm.
chance to do. So
Right.
no, there is not one team that does not scare me in this. Now, Josh, one thing I want to bring up. This is
Bring it
one
up.
thing that I'm excited and I can't wait to get to long as the Bengals get to the playoffs, which they will. I'm calling it now. They're going to the playoffs. Um, we haven't had a playoff win here since 91, the Bo Jackson game. I call it the curse of
90.
Bo Jackson,
Yeah.
and that has held a cloud over this organization for 30 years. Marvin Lewis can never get over the hump of a playoff victory. Now,
Right.
for me, just how Joe Burrow and the guys answered the questions about beating the Squealers 3 times in a row, to them it wasn't that big of a deal. To us, it's huge. It was huge. To them, it's not. To them, going to a playoff game, I don't think it's going to be this big, oh, we got to get our first
Mhm.
win, yada yada yada.
Right.
It's not them. It's we feel like that because we've lived it. I can't wait to get to that. That's where this team. That's why there is no team that scares me, because these guys expect to win. They've come from winning programs in colleges. They've won big games in college. They know
Yep.
how to win. They're bringing
Yep.
that culture here. The culture has
Yeah.
changed.
Right. Absolutely. 150% agree with exactly what you just said. This culture in the locker room is not the same that the culture that the fans have grown up with. It's
Mhm.
just the constant playoff drought and the worry about that and everything. This team is just focused on winning and focus. That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
let's
I
focus on
think
the
that
next
it's
game.
just they have guys in there that know how to win. They know what to do to win. I agree with you 150%. We get to the playoffs. I don't think we have to worry about, oh, this playoff drought or something like that, or it
Right,
going wrong or something like
right.
that. I think it's they're coming into play.
I mean,
Um,
let's just look at this year. I mean, we
right.
did have one primetime game. What did we do? We won.
We won.
What we've win
Come from
against
behind.
cover behind win against Jacksonville. What have we done in every division game this year except against the Clowns? We won.
Won. Big.
Big. Yes,
Big.
big. So that's where I'm like, this narrative has changed. And this is where the national narrative is changing, and the national media is starting to go, oh, we might have been wrong about those Bengals. They actually might be pretty good. I'm like, I know. I've
That
been trying to tell you that.
So we've talked quite a bit about the Bengals, talked quite a bit about that. I want to let everybody know that Strawberry Ice has taken time out of his podcast to come on to Back Row Bengals because he is that great of a guy. So, in order to thank him, but basically we're going to round out the show with some Bearcats talk because that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
Jeff talks about, everything on Cincinnati. So I'd say if he's going to hop on our show and this is how he's going to use his recording, we're definitely going to go into his realm definitely as well. So Jeff, the big news in Bearcat land right now, it looks like all signs are pointing to Marcus Freeman taking the Notre Dame job, which in conclusion, that pretty much means that Luke Fickell is staying home not only for the conference title game, but for the playoffs as well. How do you feel, sir?
I am ecstatic. I am so happy for Marcus Freeman. I mean, seriously, I am legitimately happy for Marcus Freeman. I think
Oh yeah, absolutely.
he is a very good coach. I think it's well deserving. I'm ecstatic for us. We get to keep Luke now. Not to be the bearer of bad news, there are rumors going around that Ryan Day potentially could go to the NFL and coach the Bears. Now, if that happens, Luke
We
Fickell
are
might go to
screwed.
Ohio State. But as of right now, he's not. As of right
Correct.
now, Marcus Freeman is the head coach for Notre Dame. So, Josh, I'm just living in the moment. We got Houston this Saturday at 4 o'clock at Nippert. We're going to kick their ass. We're going to roll into the college football playoffs. And you never know what's going to happen after that, baby.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you got conference championship game on Saturday. I'm gonna be there. Got the joint tailgate set up. We're ready to rumble. We partnered with somebody who sits in front of us for the season tickets because we were like, all right, well, this tailgate spot's gonna be expensive, so definitely doing that. So we marked up with them 4 o'clock. Houston's got a great squad, but I got to tell you, I think coming into Nippert Stadium, at the spread's at 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's nip at it's gonna be
nip at night by
nip
the
at
end of the
night.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the end of the game it will be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're going all red. And then on top of that, it's a win and in situation. I
Yeah.
think that and the Bearcats show up when they need to and at the biggest moments. I think this Bearcats team shows up. I think not only do they cover the spread, they cover it handsomely. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think they're going to cover. I think, like I said, I said this on my show yesterday. I think they in the middle of the season they got a little bored, and that's why some of these teams they should have blown out weren't blowouts. Right now, it's for all the marbles. Everything that they have worked for the last 2 years. I'm not talking about this year. Last 2 years, everything that they worked for can be accomplished with one win on Saturday at 4 o'clock at Nippert. And I think they're I'm as confident as you are about the Bengals destroying the Chargers. I think they're going to absolutely boat race Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. I did some looking into today because one of my favorite podcasts I listen to is the Pick'em podcast that Barstool does, and they all of them were taking Houston money and game and or a spreading game, and then so I looked into it. I'm like, okay, number one, the Bearcats are 2-0 against the spread against Dana Holderson. They are plus 43 differential. They haven't lost at home in 4 years, and it's going to be a nip at night. There was no reason not to take the Bearcats here
And
on a win and in situation.
And Dana Holmstrom is 1-9 versus ranked teams.
1-9 versus
1-9
ranked teams. It's just the matchup doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
It really doesn't. Now again, Houston has a good squad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the Bearcats are that much better.
They're up here.
They're
Bearcats up here. Houston's down here.
Houston's down
Sorry.
there. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
talent-wise. Josh, the Bearcats have at least 7 guys. I said it before. I think they have at least 7 guys that will play on Sundays next year. I don't think Houston.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Houston has any.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, right. Maybe. Exactly. Right. You nailed it on the head. I mean, just throwing. I just don't know who's. Wow, that was bad. Who Houston is going to throw against? I mean,
right.
You're going to go throw it against the Bolitnikov semifinalists, or you're going to go throw it against the touted number 1 corner in all of college football,
right?
Who are playing their best ball yet? And we talked about it a little bit here. Well, I said UC gets right after SMU, and they did. They went out, they whooped SMU's ass, and then they covered the spread against ECU. There is no reason to believe that UC is going to lose this game on Saturday.
No, like I said, everything they work for is right in front of them. Everything. They have every reason to go out there and ball out. I mean, Houston's look, Dana Holmstrom's already making excuses. He's like, oh, this should be played on a neutral field. Okay, Dan,
Mhm.
I hate to tell you
It's not.
this. It's not going to be. And this is the
Mhm.
American Athletic Conference. This
That's
ain't
right.
the Big 12.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to go. If you go to, where would you go? Go to Nashville? Who the hell is going to show up? Because you usually have these conference games, and you have people who like college football and they just want to go
Mhm.
to a game. Sorry,
Right.
nobody's going to show up to an American Athletic Conference game on a neutral site field. It's not going to happen. It's one of the reasons
Probably
the
not.
Bearcats are leaving and going to the Big 12.
That's correct.
He's already making excuses. They already think they
Mhm.
can't win.
Mhm.
It's
That's
over.
correct. So then, well, that kind of raises kind of a fun question. If the AAC did have a conference championship neutral site, where would you put it?
That's a very good question. I mean, honestly, it would probably, since most of the schools are in Texas and down there, probably down that way. But then that would give them an unfair advantage. I mean, the thing I said Nashville. I think that would be like the neutral center because I mean, let's be honest, the American Athletic Conference is so spread out. It's
Mhm.
hard to have a solid home base. Like this is where
Yeah.
we're going to be at. I mean, the I think the basketball tournament, I think, it's been in Texas the last couple of years.
It's in Memphis.
Is
It'd
it?
be Memphis, Texas. It's been Memphis, Texas, and then it's also been in Central Florida too.
So I mean that's probably a good basis right there of where they play the basketball conference.
Yeah.
That's probably if they had a neutral site, that's probably what they would do. They would probably go to a team that's not obviously in the
Yeah.
championship game and and play it there.
Right. Yeah. Memphis is a good idea. I would play in
Well, who's gonna
Liberty
go to
Bowl, I
who's going to Memphis? What's
guess.
in
Right.
Memphis?
Exactly.
Hey,
Nashville, I would go.
let's go to Memphis and go watch UC in Houston, and then let's go home.
Go to the Bass, dude. Go to the Bass Pro,
The Bass
the
Pro
Bass
Shop, yeah,
Pro
where
out
the
there. Yeah.
where the basketball court. That's where they used to have their
Exactly.
basketball court.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that being said, though, it doesn't seem like. I mean, obviously, it's not going to happen. It's going to be at Nippert Stadium. We're going to
Yep.
have everybody there. It's a win-and-in situation. This is the biggest. You say it's the culmination of 2 years. I gotta say, this is the culmination of over 100 years of
Right.
football. This is the biggest game in
Well,
program
this would
history.
be a historic and it's a historic win.
Historic.
No Group of Five school. I know the college football playoffs have only been around for like 5 or 6 years, but no Group of Five school has ever been in the college football playoff.
Correct.
It's about to happen.
Right. Exactly.
I'll be
So
keeping
I
an eye
mean,
on that Georgia Alabama game too because I want Alabama out.
right. Let's get them out of there. And I'm. Is there any chance at all that UC can win and still not make it?
Win and still not make it. The only chance that this has happened is if for some crazy reason Alabama beats Georgia. Alabama beats Georgia, Michigan wins, and Oklahoma State wins. This is my worst case scenario. If that happens, I think they're all in. There's a potential of them all being in and them having Oklahoma State jump us. That's my worst case scenario. The only reason I say that is because Oklahoma State just beat a ranked Oklahoma team. They would go and if they win, they beat a ranked Alabama team for the Big 12 championship. But like some guy said ahead of my show yesterday, I can't remember his name. What was his name? His name was Josh. Said that the College Football Playoff Committee has had their chances to bump UC out because we haven't blown anybody out. Like Tulsa a perfect example. We held on to win that. They still didn't move us. I don't think they're going to. But until they get that final four, these are the four that are in. Until that happens, I won't stop worrying about it.
I agree. But that being said, we're gonna close this show out with good vibes. We're gonna say UC's getting in. Georgia's
Absolutely.
gonna beat Alabama. We're not even gonna worry about it. I do think Iowa has a legitimate chance to beat Michigan. I say that Michigan has a hard time with teams that are exactly like them, and I think Iowa is exactly like them. But Michigan has a hard time with those teams. I think, and I don't think Haskins, the kid from Michigan who had 5 touchdowns. I don't think he can recreate that performance again. I think Michigan's going to have a really hard time against Iowa. And then on top of that, Michigan doesn't scare me
No.
for a playoff spot. And if Bama gets beat, we slide into that 3 spot.
Yes,
and
that's what I want. That's Josh. That's exactly what I want. I want Alabama to lose. This is my perfect scenario. Alabama loses. We jump into 3. Michigan stays at 2, and Oklahoma State is at 4. And let's go.
Let's go, man. All right. Hey, Jeff, I want to thank you so much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate it. We went about 50 minutes here. Man, we got a lot in there, and hopefully we get wins Saturday and Sunday, man. Thank you so much. Why don't you
Absolutely.
plug yourself in? That's what she said, to anything that you're doing or what's going on, and where the Back Row Nation fanside.com can find.
We'll do. First of all, how much fun is this weekend going to be? 4:00
It's gonna be
Saturday, we got the
a
Bearcats.
blast.
1:00 Sunday, we got the Bengals Chargers. I cannot wait. But you guys can check me out. My YouTube show is called Sports with Strawberry Ice. You can check it out. I'm live most every day at 5:30, Monday through Friday. You can also follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trenopole. TikTok is at Iceman90. Yes, I'm an old man, almost 50 years old, but I do TikToks and I have fun with it and enjoy it. So if you guys want to check out some trash talking for Bengals, Bearcats, Reds, check out my TikTok. Back to you, Josh.
All right, Iceman. Have a good one, brother. I see you later.
See you, dude.
All right. All right. This has been the Back Row Bengals Show, all brought to you by fansided.com. If you're looking to read a little bit more about the Bengals, I have a couple articles out. Go to fansided.com. Head on over to the Bengals side of that. Go to the Stripe Hype side and read some articles. It'd be great. And it really helps me out because I get paid by the view. So definitely go over there and help me out. All right, y'all. I will see you later. I will talk to you again on Tuesday. And let's go Bengals. Let's go Bearcats. Let's go get a couple of W's. Hooray! And go Bearcats. See y'all. Peace.